This is where they started. It began with the chameleon. They talked together about the chameleon's ability to change color. She thought that the chameleon's adaptation to its surroundings was the perfect metaphor for the idea of imitation as camouflage. He expressed discomfort with this parallel and said he was unsure about comparing their mimetic function to the defensive gestures of reptiles. Meanwhile, she marveled aloud at the chameleon's adaptability and agility. She learned that the chameleon reflexively adapts to its environment through an amalgam of synapse and pigment. A chromatic response to fight, flight, or freeze. Though unconscious, the chameleon's adaptations are highly effective. They can even change the shape of their bodies to make themselves appear as thin and as flat as a large leaf. She marveled at the unconscious precision that they possessed and wondered what it would be like to adapt and change with such ease.
Oh, please. I just want to move.
Pause. And then they made this. Their conversations about the chameleon morphed into discussions of the chameleon effect, a phrase coined by research sociologists to refer to the unconscious mimicry of another's postures, mannerisms, and facial expressions. They spent a lot of time discussing the various ways that they integrated various mannerisms and gestures into their own performances of everyday life. Researchers into the chameleon effect generally agree that dispositionally empathetic individuals exhibit the chameleon effect to a greater extent than others.
Are you ready for another? We need to all meet on Sapphire Deck, as we all need to go get chairs really quick. Once again, please all meet on Sapphire Deck to go get chairs. Thank you.
Put another way, the mimicry and empathy circulate in two directions. They thought about this in relationship to the labor that the dancers had been executing. They chuckled at the fact that on some level, all the dancers that they knew were engaged in acts of mimicry and imitation as a part of their daily practice. They came back to where they started, talking about the chameleon effect, and the two-way street between mimicry and empathy. Whereas sociologists identify mimicry as the product of empathy, dancers imitate by tracking movement. I'm talking to the audience. Dancers imitate by tracking movement, bodily alignment, and weight, acknowledging another body's movement in space and time through careful attention to minute details. She thought that the dancers tracking movement was parallel to empathy. She said it was about living your life in italics, and he liked the way that sounded, though he had no idea what it meant. What they could agree on was this. The chameleon and the chameleon effect gesture towards each other, but differ in their intentions. Whereas the chameleon mimics in order to defend itself, hiding against the bark of a fallen tree, those engaged in the chameleon effect, those engaged in the chameleon effect take on the movement of those around them to mark their attention to that which they are not. They thought about this as they sat in their chairs, contemplating the space between them. At one moment, this space seemed like a finite gap easily bridged by the reaching out of their hands, and at times, it seemed like a chasm.